Welcome to Krav Life. My name is Paul Simos, and today on Train to Fight, we're interviewing Mr. Gerwin Kranenburg. Now, Gerwin joins us all the way from the Netherlands, and he is the head of Krav Maga Worldwide for Europe. So I definitely can't wait to talk to him, so stay tuned for that one. The thing that I love about Krav Life is its sense of community. See, we network with Kravists from all over the world, and that network makes Krav Maga stronger. So if you want to get in on the networking action, then you should join our Krav Life community network. Basically, it's a place where Kravists like you and I can network and discuss everything Krav Maga related. Plus, you can read profiles and articles and training, and there's so much more in there. And best of all, it's all for free. Just go to mykravlife.com and sign up for the free community and start networking with Kravists from all over the world. And while you're there, be sure to check out our Krav Maga directory and find a place to train that's near you. So, without further delay, here is Mr. Gerwin Kranenburg. All right. So welcome, sir. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you very much.
Pretty
And
good.
you?
I'm not doing too bad, actually. It's, the weather's getting warmer. Spring is in the air. Right.
Yeah.
So, fingers crossed everything goes good. Right.
Exactly. Well, same here. So let's hope summer is coming.
Yes. So for our viewers that don't know you, can you tell us? Well, first, tell us your name and where you're from.
Okay, I will introduce myself. My name is Gerwin Kranenburg. For the English-speaking people, most people call me G or Gerwin. That's easier.
Yeah, it is.
That probably makes sense. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm a gym owner. I have my gym located in Harderwijk. That's pretty much the center of the country.
Okay.
It's about an hour drive from Amsterdam. It's about an hour drive from any part of the country. So it is the center.
Nice. Is it a big town, small town?
It's a town which has about 40,000 people living here. So it's not a really big town, but not really small either. At least not for the Netherlands.
Yeah. It's not like millions. Like
Nope.
Amsterdam's got well over 1 million people, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But I mean, the entire country has a little over 17 million people. So the country is it's a small country.
Yeah, but still one that was important in history, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There we go. So you teach Krav Maga, correct?
That's correct.
And how did you get started in everything? Like was Krav Maga your first, the first thing you did, or did you have prior martial arts experience? How did this begin for you?
Okay, well, for me, it started at age 5. My family, they owned a restaurant, and they were dealing with some people who were, bullying them, bothering them in their business. And my father insisted on having the staff trained in some kind of self-defense system. That's back in the days. That was the end 70s. And in that point in time, it was mostly karate and that kind of stuff, that kind of martial arts that were taught. So we ended up with a karate teacher. So at age 5, I started training karate myself as well, because my father was like, okay, if the staff can teach it, I want my kids to learn it as well. A few years later, we moved to a different town. There was no karate school, so I rolled into judo classes. And I did judo for a few years. Then we moved again to a different town. There was karate, so I went back from judo. I stopped with judo and went to karate. And I've been training karate practically ever since. At first, it was semi-contact. A little later on, I added some full contact to it. And well, let me think about time frame. In 2003, I opened my karate school. Well, I started teaching karate in my current town, my hometown, and it was a small school, and I liked teaching karate. But to be honest, I missed the reality part. It's good for all the technical training and everything that's in there. I really like it for that part, but not for the self-defense part.
Yeah.
So in 2005, I started training Krav Maga, and I never stopped till, well, probably till I die.
Yeah, of course. So, which did you prefer? Did you prefer the judo training or did you prefer the karate training? Like it was more full contact, right? Karate.
Yeah, well, for me, I like them both. I really like the full contact karate for the no nonsense system it is. At the same time, I do like the judo part, especially the ground fighting part, which I think is pretty important in any self-defense system. And if you take the full contact karate, as soon as someone goes down, it ends the fight right then and right there. And I think in reality, the fight doesn't end if someone goes down. I mean, that's when all the shit starts happening.
Yeah. And did you find that when you started into Krav Maga, did your prior experience in karate and judo, I'm going to use the words make it easier or make it easier to understand, or did it make it more difficult? Because I know sometimes with karate, especially more traditional karate, you develop a lot of bad habits.
Yeah.
What did you find in the transition?
I think for me to go through the system, already having the background of having learned so many different techniques and so many stuff, the combatives part, that was like pretty easy. For me, the fighting part was, if you look at the full contact karate system, you have to protect your head for the kicks, but not for the punches. So when I was first started training Krav and we went to sparring and we put on the boxing gloves, which I was like, okay, what are these things around my hand? And then I got punched in the face and I was like, oh, I really need to adapt.
Yeah.
So that was a disadvantage. And it took me quite some time. Actually, even still now, when I get tired in training, I fall back to something that I have been training way, way longer. So my hands, they are up, but they're down a little bit. And once I get a punch in the face, I'm like, oh, okay, raise them again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it absolutely helped me go faster through the system. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely believe that it can be both an advantage and a disadvantage. And whether it is an advantage or disadvantage having prior martial arts experience depends on the individual, right? If you're the type of individual that, basically enters the system and goes, I'm a white belt again. I have no hangups. I'm not going to be, oh, but we did this, oh, but we did that, right? And just try to learn the system, then I think you can motor through it really quickly. But if you're stuck on, well, I did it this way, we did it this way for so many years, then I think you're going to have a tough time assimilating Krav Maga properly. No, that's a good point.
But at the same time, I think it's very important for instructors to be aware of the backgrounds of your students at the same time. I mean, when I'm teaching classes and I have people who have prior experience in different martial arts or from whatever background, I really emphasize my students on asking questions, on criticizing the system, like, why are we doing what we're doing? I think it's very important to keep asking those questions, because there are some instructors, I mean, especially if you look on YouTube, there are so many videos of instructors demoing stuff in which I'm like, I don't know how you came up with this. But when your students are asking you, why are we doing what we're doing, and you can explain it in a proper way and it makes sense, that means I think you're teaching the correct stuff.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't make sense, then, well,
Yeah, exactly. And I think on a greater scale, you hit a good point that knowing the background of the student is really important. And it's not just their martial art background, right?
yeah.
It's what do they do for a living? Because I'm sure you adapt your class a little bit or give extra information to someone that's in law enforcement or
Oh, yeah,
military.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, and it's also important to know if they had past traumas, right?
Oh,
So
yeah,
just
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, those are major points in teaching. For a law enforcement for a law enforcement person, if they are in class, they need to be aware that they are normally carrying whether if they are carrying a gun, they will bring it into a fight. So they will need to know what to do with it, but also be aware that it is in the fight. Same for if you are traumatized. Well, you can't just go and say, okay, choke from in front, choke them. I mean, that's not going to work. That's going to be like a nightmare. So you need to know who you're dealing with.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, like we have to be completely adaptable because I had a student that was a cop and
Yeah.
had PTSD
Yeah.
because of an event that happened. So we have to be very careful navigating that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, our teaching becomes more destructive than helpful, and I believe it can help a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been teaching the craft program at a safe house for women.
Okay.
Same thing, with therapists there in room available. But once you are dealing with the people who have been traumatized, you can't just do a regular class. I mean,
Yeah.
it's custom made. I mean, if you are talking about doing choke defenses, these are the people who have experienced it firsthand, and it didn't end well.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think every instructor that's been around a little while has had an experience where they didn't know the student's background and something triggered them, and
oh
we
yeah,
all yeah we
yeah,
all we all feel bad when that sort of thing happens.
yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about your actual training in Krav Maga. Like what organization did you get involved with? Who did you train with? Like where did you pick it up?
Okay, well, yeah. Well, when I started looking for a Krav Maga school, well, first of all, when I was in the karate system, I was looking for a reality-based system,
Mhm.
and I ended pretty fast. I ended up with Krav Maga because that was like, well, the number one reality-based self-defense system.
Mhm.
And I started attending seminars from different instructors.
Right.
In 2005, I ended up training with Thierry Fiatour. He unfortunately is no longer with us, but I liked his seminars, especially because he was like a people's person.
Mhm.
He had fun in teaching, although it was serious business. Um, it was a self-defense program, self-defense seminars, but at the same time, he was like, okay, well, people make mistakes, and if you make a mistake, well, okay, this is not real life, this is still training, and we want it to be as real as possible, but at the same time, okay, if you want to learn, make mistakes. And I
Mhm.
liked his philosophy on that. Making mistakes is what you do at a gym, so you don't make them on the street.
Mhm.
So back in the day, that was the WKMF, the World Krav Maga Federation. And by the end in 2005, beginning 2006, a part of that organization transitioned to Krav Maga Worldwide, which at first was called Krav Maga Worldwide Europe,
Mhm.
and then later on became Krav Maga Worldwide, as it was already in the US. So I am, with my school, affiliated to Krav Maga Worldwide with Chief Instructor Darren Levine.
Mhm.
I think my primary instructors who have been teaching me are Darren himself, John Pascal, which I think is a phenomenal instructor, Kelly Campbell, I think one of the highest ranking female instructors in the world, Matt Ramond, Christian Medina, who's also a phenomenal instructor, Well, I can go
Yeah.
on and go on. So
Yeah. Yeah. They have a lot of excellent instructors.
yeah.
So how how prevalent is Krav Maga in Europe, or at least your part of Europe? Is there a lot of Krav Maga, or is it hard to find?
Well, actually, before COVID, there were a lot of schools. During the pandemic, I think quite a few schools had to close their doors, and they haven't opened yet. And I'm not sure whether they will reopen again or they will call it a day. There are really a lot of different organizations here in
Hmm.
Europe. There are a few big organizations and an enormous amount of small organizations. I think for the Netherlands, the biggest ones are the IKMF and Krav Maga Global. Those are the biggest ones. Krav Maga Worldwide is, I think, the number 3 organization in quantity. Are there a lot of schools? Well, in our country, I think the closest location to my location is about 5 kilometers. There's about 3-mile radius for the people talking miles and kilometers. So we are pretty close to one another.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's I'm in Canada, and Krav Maga hasn't really taken a huge foothold yet here. So
Okay.
so there's lots of opportunity for expansion here.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you still get to train with people from outside your organization as well?
Well, for me, I'm also the Krav Maga Worldwide Europe coordinator. So
Mm,
I'm
okay.
coordinating a lot of stuff within Europe.
Hmm.
It makes it a little bit more difficult for me to shop around and go to different organizations because I'm affiliated and I'm also the face of Krav Maga Worldwide
Right.
in Europe. At the same time, I'm always open-minded about going to different organizations and going to different instructors.
Hmm.
Although there are so many different organizations, to me, there's just one system, that's Krav Maga.
Right.
And even though I am affiliated to an organization, I still feel like we are all doing the same thing. We are here to teach people a self-defense system in which we believe, and we want this world to be a safer place. We want people to go home safe. And to me, an organization is something on the background that will help you keep educated, will keep you on your level, and will make you better. But at the same time, I'm like, it's on the background. You as an instructor, you have to do it. And whether if you go to different organizations, if you go to different seminars, I I I am telling my students to go wherever they want to, as much as they want to, as much as they can.
Yeah, I feel that for I guess quality assurance, right? That
Yeah,
most like Krav Maga studios should be affiliated with a reputable organization in some way, shape, or form. I've talked to a lot of amazing instructors from a lot of different systems, and any one of those systems is really good. I don't really recommend studios going it alone
yeah,
because it's so much harder for them to do it that way.
yeah.
So for kind of like how is Krav Maga Worldwide doing in Europe? Because in the US, it's a big organization. How are
Yeah.
they in Europe?
Well, in Europe, we are not a really big organization, at least not
Mhm.
yet. Um, and I think it's because of history. Krav Maga Worldwide, Darren Levine, of course, started
Mhm.
spreading Krav Maga in the US. And he was, I think, one of the first or the first person doing it in the US. And in Europe, it was IKMF, who
Mhm.
was the first organization. So they have the most people. And when IKMF split up to Krav Maga Global and IKMF, I think they will remain the biggest organization.
Yeah.
In the Netherlands, Krav Maga Worldwide it's represented with a number of schools. In Belgium, we have a few schools. There is a school in Luxembourg, in Spain, in France. We have one in Norway. So in practically
Not bad.
all the countries, at least there is, well, a representative, a school teaching the system.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's pretty good. All right. And because you alluded to like the pandemic really has hurt a lot of industries, not just ours.
Yeah.
And a lot of studios have shut down, and some of them have made it through, and they're still kind of suffering. How do you see the future of Krav Maga going in where you are?
Well, to be honest, I think a lot of people, they have a short temper, especially due to everything that happened. So I think safety, people will feel, if I look around, if I hear the people are talking a lot about feeling less safe on the street, talking to people. If they don't agree to someone will just burst into aggression right away. So I think the system itself and Krav Maga has really potential to bloom again. But I think at the same time, during the pandemic, with all the online programs and a lot of instructors teaching the online programs, at the same time, I think it did damage some of the potential right now, because there are still the online programs that people can buy and train at home. And I think at the end, nothing beats physical training with a training partner in a gym with an instructor there.
So what part? So what part do you think ends up lacking with online training? Like what is the difference? The experience
I think
level?
that the experience itself, the stress drills, building up fatigue, an instructor pushing you to the limits and pushing you a little bit further, and then adding more stress to it, and then testing the system. It is like training self-defense techniques instead of training the system, training how you are going to respond under stress. And I think the Krav Maga system, the biggest part of its success, it's because it is a stress-tested system. And people are, during classes, at least that's what I do, what I like to do, is after they have been training a technique and they are tired, then I want to put them to the test. And once they leave the door, they need to be feeling like, okay, I survived, well, a tiny battle and I managed and I'm still okay.
So to use a euphemism, I guess, for any karate people that are listening, practicing Krav Maga online would kind of be like doing kata without understanding bunkai, right?
Absolutely. Yep. That's it. Then it means like it's an empty shell. It's just forms.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I agree, and that's a bridge that's very, very hard to cross, because you'd have people that understand how a technique is going to work technically, but not practically. And we all know that once you put a technique and you can perform it perfectly, right? Once you put it under stress, shit always goes sideways, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It never, ever, ever works the way you expect it to work. And I think our value in Krav Maga is going into that deficit and being able to bring ourselves back out, right?
Yep.
So when stuff doesn't work.
Yep. And I think I have it on. Well, I have a T-shirt on right now, but it's on the back, and it's like, don't expect to. What's the quote exactly? I'm thinking about it right now. I will get back to that one later on. So don't worry. Otherwise, I have to take off my shirt.
Well, then this becomes a whole different type of show.
Yeah. So no, I'm not going to do that one. It's like you don't. It's the language right now. It's not. You don't live up to a level of expectations. So it's not like if you train for 90% and shit hits the fan, you don't perform at 100%.
Right.
It will always be lower.
Right.
So if you make mistakes in training, that means, okay, that's how you are training. But in reality, it will probably be more messy. It will be more like a nightmare. And it's not like, okay, if I do it in a gym, it's going to be okay. Then in reality, when someone's really going to attack me, then I'm going to nail it. That's not going to work.
Yeah, it's almost like, and it's hard for people to understand that. Okay, so when you're just practicing with a partner, you can perform it at 100%. You put it
Yep.
under stress, right? Then maybe you're performing at 50%. But even the stress that we can do as much stress testing as we want, it's never going to be exactly the same as the real stress. So
Exactly.
so you might get 50% of your 50% at that point. So
Yeah.
you might be operating at 25% capacity on the street,
Yeah.
and or even remembering what to do, right?
Yep.
And it kills me because you were talking about people doing techniques on YouTube. When you see them doing complicated techniques, right? Like all these little
Yeah.
movements and so, and you're going, and you just sit there thinking, you don't have access to your fine motor skills in a fight, right? Like
Nope.
in an altercation, right? It's all gross motor,
Yeah.
right? So none of that stuff that you're teaching where it looks really cool, you won't be able to perform it.
Exactly.
And I don't think a lot of people understand that sort of thing.
And that's why if I get a new student into my gym and they're like, can I watch? I'm always like, nope. It's not a spectator sport. It means like, okay, if you want to join, you join,
Mm-hmm.
and you can attend a class, you can try a class, but you're not just watching a class. It's so much different. I mean, if you watch at people, then you're like, why are they doing this? Why are they being so tired? Why are they not responding faster? Why are always
Yeah.
the why question? If you put
Yeah.
them in the room themselves, then they're
Then
like,
I understand.
oh, this is completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when you're with people that have never fought full contact, right?
Yep.
And they're watching the UFC and they're like, why doesn't he just do this? Why doesn't he just do that? And it's like, and then you sit there and you go, you've never been in that situation, have you?
Yeah.
Right? It's like you literally cannot think. That's why they have their coaches yelling at them,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
It's very, very, very difficult. It's a whole different experience, and I agree with you. It's
Yeah.
you can't get the Krav Maga experience by watching, right?
No.
You have to do it.
Absolutely.
So, um, do you guys? So, in your teaching, obviously, you do civilian, and you teach
Yeah.
them all hand to hand and stuff like that. Do you teach anything with weapons as well?
Yes, I do. I mean, in our country, it is officially it's not allowed to. We are not allowed to have any training guns, etc. Luckily, I've come to an agreement with the local police department that I can use the training guns for training.
So when you say training guns, what do you mean, like the rubber ones?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, you guys aren't allowed to have even the rubber guns.
Nope. And
Not even if they're bright orange and don't look like a
nope.
gun.
Nope.
Wow.
Well, I have a fun story, but I will tell a little bit later. Now, the reason why we are not allowed to have them, it's like if you take one of the rubber training guns and you spray paint them black and you go into the gas station, the person sitting there, he doesn't see the difference between a real gun and a black spray painted rubber gun. And
Wow.
he will probably not even see that there's no hole in it and that there actually will never come a bullet out of it.
Yeah.
And I had one outdoor training. It's from the beginning of when I was teaching Krav. Then I actually had from a piece of wood. I just had the form shape of a gun,
Mm-hmm.
and it was from wood. And we were training outside, and there were some police officers training there as well. So there was like a big police van standing outside. The guys from the police department had their police uniforms on,
Mm-hmm.
and we were training carjacking scenarios.
Right.
And while we were training, then we heard like police sirens, and we stopped training. Like, okay, what's happening? What's going on? And then a few police cars, they came up to where we were training. The police officer jumped out of the car, pulling their guns, like hands up, because someone called the police. Like, okay, there are some people with guns training outside on the parking lot.
Oh man.
So that was completely crazy, and it was just a piece of wood, what we were training with. So
Holy cow.
yeah,
That's insane.
yeah,
Now, Are you allowed to have guns in the Netherlands, or no?
Yeah,
Like do you have shooting ranges and stuff like that?
we do have shooting ranges, but before you can own a gun,
Hmm.
the rules and regulations are you have to become a member of the shooting range. Then for the first year, you can only shoot. Yeah, what's it called? It's like it's on air pressure.
Hmm. Okay.
So it's small caliber at first. That's going to be like the what is it? The 6 millimeter,
Uh,
5.5 millimeter.
yeah.
That's after the first year. Then for 2 years, it's small caliber .22.
Okay.
So after 3 years in total, then you can apply for the 9 millimeter,
Wow.
and that's as far as it goes. And then after the 3 years, you can apply for it, and then if the shooting range agrees to it, then you are allowed to buy a gun. So it first means you have to go to the gun store, you buy a
Hmm.
gun, you go back to the shooting range, they sign off on it. Okay, you are allowed for the disciplines you are shooting to have this gun. Then you go to the police, they sign it off, then you go back to the store, you buy the gun, and you actually get the gun.
Wow. Oh, that's crazy. Um,
Yeah,
here in Canada, it's you need to be licensed.
yeah,
And so to be licensed, there's two types of licenses. We have like a restricted and a non-restricted. The non-restricted allows us to buy rifles and stuff like that. The
yeah,
restricted is for handguns, and then same thing as there. If you're going to have a handgun, you have to be a member of a range, and in order to get the license, you have to do a course, right? So it's one
yeah,
course for the non-restricted, it's a different course for the restricted, and then you have to apply. You have to do a background check and make sure that you've had no mental health issues or
yeah,
bankruptcies or stuff like that when you're
yeah,
applying. And our people with gun licenses here have to pass a background check every single day.
okay,
So
yeah,
the RCMP, sorry, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, they run a background check on all. I think it's 2.1 million gun owners here in Canada every
yeah.
single day. And if you
Quite
do
a few.
anything,
Yeah,
and if you do anything wrong, they come and get you. And we've got
yeah,
really strict punishments for any sort of
yeah.
misuse of firearms. So
Okay,
yeah, and they still want to ban handguns here. So, but
yeah,
but
but
that's a whole.
but it's like when you are here in the Netherlands, for going to the shooting, there is also a background check,
Yeah,
and if you own the gun, it needs to be in a safe.
yeah.
The ammunition needs to be in a separate compartment in the safe, so it needs to be separate from each other. You
Mhm.
can't have like a loaded mag with your gun. That's not allowed.
Yeah.
So the magazines and the gun itself, they are in one compartment. The ammunition is in a different compartment, and every 2 years, your safe is being checked by the police.
Mm.
So they come to your house and they check whether you're still, well, following the rules.
Yeah.
And the background check, it's there. And every year, it's just once a year, they do a background check.
Yeah, ours is done every day, and we have similar requirements for
Yeah,
keep safekeeping of the firearms, and
yeah,
yeah, but yeah, we've got a lot of hunters
yeah,
here in Canada. It's a little bit bigger of a country, right? So we got
yeah,
lots of wilderness and hunting areas, and so yeah, there's
yeah,
a lot more guns
yeah,
that we have circulating, but very low rates of gun violence by licensed
yeah. Same
licensed
here.
people. It's only the criminals that
Yeah.
commit the crimes.
Yeah, but
So
it's the same. It's the same thing. If you are licensed and you want to buy a gun, I mean, if I want to buy a Glock, for instance,
mhm,
then it's going to cost me, I think, about 600-700 euros
mhm,
to buy a Glock. And if I am a criminal and I would buy a Glock, then it will probably cost me less than 100 euros. So
Yeah.
it makes no sense.
No, it's unfair, and the punishment for a gun user. So if I violate any of the rules, I can go to jail for like 5 years,
Yeah,
and a criminal can be caught in using a gun in a holdup,
yeah,
right, of a store, and he gets out in 3 years.
yeah,
Right, like
yeah.
I
That
leave
makes
my
completely
gun. I know, I leave my gun on the table and walk 3 meters away from it.
yeah,
Jail 5 years. Right,
yeah,
criminal holds someone up with a gun, 3 years.
yeah, yeah.
Makes no sense.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's interesting
yeah.
how firearms are viewed in different areas of the world.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so for yourself, because you said you do, so you're the head of Krav Maga worldwide. If anyone is, so do you do seminars around Europe then?
Yeah, before COVID, we were teaching
Right.
on a pretty regular base, and right now, well, in Europe, I think
Yeah.
most restrictions are lifted.
Hmm.
Luckily, so we are. Well, I think before the summer, I will at least host another seminar. I talked about it with another licensee this morning, actually. So it will probably be somewhere in June, maybe July, beginning July. Then I will be teaching another seminar here in the Netherlands.
Okay.
Yep.
And if there's any studios that are looking to affiliate with Krav Maga worldwide in Europe
Yeah.
or have a seminar, what's the best way to contact you?
They can contact me by email, by phone, or by kravmaga.com. My personal email is info@safetytrainingcenter.nl. Well, my phone number, they can find it online as well. I'm not sure whether I'm going to post it in this.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay, sir. Well, I want to thank you for coming on to Krav Life and sharing your story with us, and us getting to know you. Right, this is how the Krav Maga community builds itself up and helps keep people safe is by communication with each other. Right.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for inviting me in and having this awesome interview.
All right. Well, you have yourself a good day.
Hey, thank you very much.
No problem.
Hey, bye-bye.
Well, that was awesome. I'd like to thank Mr. Kranenburg for a great interview and for being on the show. And I want to thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it. Share it with others, post it on your social media, or leave a rating and a review. That would be awesome. Now, to catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at my_Krav_life and on Facebook or YouTube just by searching My Krav Life. So once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time for another great interview.